Hello everybody. Today we're going to go over dynamic stretching and how it can influence parameters of sports performance. Functional flexibility includes self-myofascial release and dynamic stretching. To perform dynamic stretching, an athlete will need an optimal amount of extensibility of muscle tissue. Functional flexibility techniques are designed to improve multiplanar flexibility and extensibility of soft tissue and improve neuromuscular control through a full range of motion. Dynamic stretching involves the use of a muscle's own force production and momentum to move a joint through a full range of motion. Prior to implementation of dynamic stretching, an athlete should exhibit strong neuromuscular control. These muscles are used to control the speed, direction, and intensity of the stretch. Here are some examples of dynamic stretches, including a reverse lunge with rotation, a spider lunge with rotation, and a med ball lift and chop. Videos of each exercise are provided in the discussion post. Different factors impact whether or not dynamic stretches should be implemented in an athlete's training protocol. In order to perform a dynamic stretch, an athlete must achieve a strong neuromuscular base and optimal muscular extensibility prior to performing the stretch. In order to achieve this, muscular imbalances, postural distortions, improper movement patterns, and joint compensations must be corrected. Correcting these issues should be achieved through other methods of stretching prior to implementing dynamic stretches. Due to this, a highly skilled athlete who exhibits efficient movements should be able to participate in regular dynamic stretching prior to a training session. There are several theorized benefits involving the use of dynamic stretching prior to a sporting event or training session in current research. In a study conducted by Lin et al. 2020, it was explained that dynamic stretching provides a more sport-specific warm-up by increasing body temperature, improving nerve conduction, and increasing the level of sports performance by mimicking sport-specific movements and implementing high-speed dynamic movements. Lin et al. Also explained that implementation of dynamic stretching can reduce the likelihood of injuries that take place during rapid acceleration and deceleration movements, such as muscle strains. Yamaguchi et al. 2019 stated that prior research found dynamic stretching to improve endurance performance by prolonging the time to exhaustion during exercise at 90% of VO2 max. This was assessed over the course of that study. Current evidence supports the use of dynamic stretching as a warm-up technique to sports that involve short-term, high-intensity, and dynamic movements. Lin et al. 2020 compared the effects of dynamic stretching as a warm-up technique and dynamic stretching followed by vibration foam rolling on sports performance amongst badminton athletes. As a result of the study, Lin et al. 2020 concluded that neither method was superior to the other, but did augment performance benefits. It was found that implementation of dynamic stretching amongst the participants increased range of motion, improved lower limb power, and agility. Lin et al. 2020 also found that addition of vibration foam rolling to dynamic stretching resulted in a large reduction of muscle stiffness, which in turn decreases the likelihood of sport injury. There is also current evidence that states that implementation of dynamic stretching prior to an athletic event could hinder sports performance. In Yamaguchi et al.'s study of 2019, it was found that dynamic stretching paired with general warm-up tactics actually acutely impaired endurance performance at 90% of VO2 max. This led to the conclusion that well-trained endurance runners should explore other options to warm up and prepare their athletes for their events. Based on the current research and evidence provided on dynamic stretching, it can be concluded that dynamic stretching can improve range of motion and the efficiency of sport-specific movements during high-intensity and explosive sports. Dynamic stretching can also improve the quality at which the body produces power. When paired with other techniques, dynamic stretching can reduce the instances of muscle stiffness, thus reducing the likelihood of sports injury. However, based on the results of the Yamaguchi et al. 2019 study, dynamic stretching may not be an optimal warm-up strategy for endurance sports due to its adverse effects on performance. However, because they only tested their endurance measures on a treadmill and not during an actual athletic event, further research needs to be conducted to confirm these findings. Here are the references used to complete this assignment. I hope you have a better understanding of dynamic stretching after watching this video, and thank you for tuning in.